Yes, yes. Good evening. Good evening. Salutations, everyone. I'm back once again. Hey, what go figure? I have someone that I wanted to do this with from the beginning. My first interview was with Greston, and that went very well. And I do want to apologize for the visual issues that I had. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi issue, but hopefully I'll work on that. But I have the person that I wanted to start kick things off with. The queen, the person that's responsible for my existence, someone that has been my anchor, has been my rock all my life. And, we get on each other's nerves, but nonetheless, we love and understand each other very well. And I'm glad she decided that she wanted to come on with me and talk with me and get this going. So I said, okay, let me put my bra back on and let's do this. So without further ado, let me bring her to the stage because she's so anxious to be up here. So here is my mother, Miss Yvonne Strachan herself.
Hey, people! I am Miss Yvonne. I am Faith Nicole's mother, and she gets on my nerve just like I get on hers.
Yes, you see what I'm talking about. She went on my middle name, so that's something that you're going to have to hear throughout. There are some people in my family that I have grown up with, and people that I've known for many years all my life that goes by my middle name. So don't be alarmed by that. It's just that's how it is. So now,
I forgot y'all people. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, her name is Faith first, but her mommy call her Nicole.
And why is that?
Because when you were born, right? You was in the incubator, right? Long story short, because you survived being you was born 3 pounds, you survived, being so small, right? I said, you know what? I'm going to call my daughter Faith, right? Here go my father, which is Nicole's grandfather. Faith, Faith, what type of name is that? I said, Daddy, I want to name her Faith. He said, Faith. I said, okay, Faith Nicole, right? So anyway, so then that's why we started calling you Nicole, because your grandfather didn't want to call you Faith.
And there you have it. Thank you for that history, mother. So how are you? What's going on with you? What's going on? How are you?
You know what? I'm fine, daughter. I went through a journey in life, you know what I'm saying?
That, yep.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about my journey on this first interview, or should I start it and then how you want to go?
Because we're gonna be having multiple conversations. I know it's multi-layered, so whatever you want to start and stop with, I'll flow with you.
Okay.
But I want to start from your beginnings. Where you from, and how was your upbringing? And, were you raised in a two-parent household? Like, just start there. Where are you from?
Okay. I'm from literally, Bronx, New York, all my life. I was in a two-family household. I grew up with a lot of kids, right? And I had a beautiful childhood. We was never on welfare, no food stamps. And my father worked for the post office by day. And then, post office by night. And by day, me and my mother, which is your grandmother, had to run the superintendent household, right? Back then, they didn't have no circuit breakers. We had to go to the fuse box, you know what I'm saying? And you see a little black spot, right? So me and my mother were the super when my father was at work.
Okay.
Anyway, that's how I went on, right? Then I went on, I was a good girl. I never played hooky from school. And we always had great Christmases. And it was fantastic. We had a fantastic childhood. You know what I'm saying?
Big, yeah. It's everything big. Like everything was memorable. Like I remember, like those gatherings where ate breakfast together, y'all. Christmas.
That's right. That's right. Hey, we used to have. I never forget. Right before you were born, there was a blackout, right? And my mother during the blackout, she was frying chicken and cooking grits. And when the blackout happened, right? I said, Mommy, I'm hungry, right? Mommy said, hey, we ain't got no lights. I said, okay, we got some candle, right? And my mother kept cooking them grits and fried chicken.
Cooking grits and shit.
And boy, I mean, it was looting going on, whatever. Anyway, I went on to, my father, when he was growing up, my father and my mother, we never got a beating, right? No, we did get a beating. When we was young, right? Today, that the way they used to discipline back in the day, they beat you behind with a belt, whatever. But if you do that today, you're gonna be going to jail. You know what I'm saying? But back then they whip your butt. But you know what? My father never beat us. He never. But he used to threaten us, say, "I will beat your butt to the white meat," just like Bernie Mac.
Yeah, but Grandpa was always like you always talk about how intimidating his presence was to
Oh,
people.
yeah. Okay, my
Yeah,
father.
yeah.
Okay, my mother was born in 1928. My father 27, right? Anyway, long story short, my mother only had a sixth grade education, and
Mm.
my father he dropped out of 10th grade, but he went on to get a good job with the post office, right? So anyway, even though they have no education, they always praise us about getting our education, whatever. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
of course.
But anyway, long story short, so my father, right? He was a big man, and he would walk around, like the president of the United States, right? So anyway, my friends, right? I used to go to their house, whatever. So I told him to come to my house, right? He'd be like, "Is your father home?" I said, "Why you want to know my father home?" He said, "I'm never scared of daddy. Daddy." All my friends were scared of my father. And I
Yeah.
asked him to come to my house and be like, "Is your father home?" Anyway, so long story short, like, if we bring a friend around to daddy, right? Like, "Hey, daddy, this is my friend so and so." He look at them, he say, "You go to school?" He said, "No." "You got a job?" "No." Daddy would turn around and wouldn't pay you no mind. But if you got an education, daddy would daddy would accept you. But and then when he come walking down the street, they'd be like, "Hey, Mr. L." I mean, they'd be treating daddy like and that's the way he did himself. And another thing too, daddy used to love to take pictures. He don't care if he just get up in the morning, got stool all in his side of his mouth, whatever, and he come out the bedroom with a roll boy, be like, "Daddy, let me take your picture." He'd be like, "Okay, fix the roll right, wipe the thing right,
Yeah,
okay."
I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off, but to just be a little bit more, because like it's a little distracting because the movement is a little bit
Oh,
distracting.
okay. I won't.
Yeah. All
I
right.
won't move them up. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, my father used to love to take pictures, and you know what? Too, I miss all my aunts and uncles, my
Yeah.
father, but whatever. Right now, I am the third living of the generation. You know what I'm saying? Of
Mm.
our bloodline from our first cousin, whatever. And I take pride in that. You know what I'm saying? I take
Yes.
pride. But I really miss the picnics at Katona Park.
Yes.
We
Me
used to
too.
hang out at Katona Park. I
Yeah.
miss my Aunt Baby, my Uncle Brother. I miss all my, but I don't have no more aunts and uncles. And that, I just hate that. Anyway, now going on with my life, right? Okay, once I had my daughter Nicole in '76, right? Okay, it was a beautiful thing. But anyway, my life took a drastic
But
turn.
you get there, bookmark that, mother. Bookmark that. Well, because you started at my birth, so I want to get more into that of like how do you and my dad meet? Go back, go there.
Oh, okay, all right,
What's
all
the
right,
lead? Give me the lead up. Give me the history of
all right,
how I came
okay,
out. Yeah, how did that
all
happen?
right. Here
Yeah,
we go. I
yeah.
was 19 years old,
Yes.
working in a restaurant on 127th Street in Harlem. My father bought a restaurant, right? One day, I was 19 years old. One
Mm.
day I was doing my homework, right? So this guy came and he said, his name was Randy, a friend of my aunt Belle and Mildred, right? She came in there, he said, "I'm gonna introduce you to my nephew, right?" I said, "Who your nephew, right?" So she said, "Okay, long story short," I said, "Okay, we'll meet together, right?"
So wait a
So
minute.
unbeknownst to me, I
Okay.
didn't know his nephew was older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So when his nephew came in there, he
Joe was
was already 37 years old.
young
And
for
I
his
was only 19 years old. So when
yeah.
he walked in, he was like, "Uncle, how you gonna introduce me to a young girl at 19 years old, right?" So anyway, he decided, since he already made the arrangements, he decided to take me out. So anyway, his name was Randy, right? So I was 19, he was 37, right? So we went out. But anyway, I was so mature and had my thing going on that after a while, after the first date, we was on and popping. I was 19, right? So anyway, we were together for 2 years. We
Mm-hmm.
hung out whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I tell my daughter to this day, her father was the best time of my life. I mean, he treated me so good. He used to take me partying and hang out and whatever, right? Anyway, I had Nicole, right? I got pregnant with Nicole, right? And you know, I really don't know what happened after I had Nicole. Some kind of way I got mad at him, right?
Did he
Anyway,
did he know that
Nicole,
did he know you was pregnant?
yeah, he knew, but I don't remember what happened. I got mad at him about I don't know. But anyway, later on in life, after you got older and you're bonded, right? He said to me, I said, Randy, I really don't know why we separated. What happened between us, right? He said, I don't know, Yvonne. He said, at that time, now we talk about back in the 70s, he said, I had $38,000. I was able to take care of you. I said, oh, really? You know what I'm saying? I said, but you never expressed that.
That was a lot back then.
Yeah, that was a lot of money in the 70s. Talking about 70s, a lot of money, right? He said, I was willing to, take care of you. And long story short, years later, when you finally got, introduced to your father, right? Come to find out, he really loved me. Your father really,
Oh,
really loved me.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He really did. And I asked him, I said, Randy, I said, what makes you love me so much? He said, Yvonne, because you're young and you're fun and you make me feel alive. I said, oh, excuse me, baby. Excuse me. I said, Randy, you have all these other women, but what make you, like me so much? He said, because Yvonne, I could talk to you about anything,
Mhm.
anything. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that went.
So all
What
right,
else you want to know?
we'll go back to when I was born, right? And can you kind of take me back to why I didn't find out about him until later on? Like what happened to where you know?
Okay, wait a minute. Let me get a drink.
Oh, okay. Now you want to get a drink? Yeah, go ahead.
Ah, okay. Now what?
No, when you start, you still on what it is.
I got some white wine.
A white wine. Okay, well,
Okay, now what you want to know?
I want to know when you got pregnant, you had me. Like, why wasn't he there? Like, what was the reasoning as to why he wasn't there at the time? And I didn't.
That's my point. That's my point. I don't know. I got mad at him for some reason. This was the time that when you was born first, right? We was on Inwood Avenue when your grandfather was a super, right? And you was born 76. A year later, 77 is when your grandfather bought that private house on Townsend Avenue in the Bronx. All right. So then when I moved in there, that's when you were still a baby and your father came by at the house that your grandfather bought, right? And
Okay.
then that's when something happened. I
Yeah.
have no idea to this day.
Because I'm still trying to figure out, like, why is it that, I thought that Daddy Lucas was my birth father,
No,
like,
I never told you Daddy Lucas was your father. I never told you that.
with that impression, mother, because I never knew that Randy was. I never knew that until like I was 13.
No, I don't know why you thought he was your father because, like, when I met Will, you was already 5 years old.
And that's the only one. That's the only father I knew. He's the only one I knew to be my father. I didn't know it otherwise. I,
Well, I guess not.
I didn't know otherwise until
But
I.
you know what, Nicole? I didn't know you felt that Will was your father. I
Yeah,
never knew you felt that way.
yeah. I still will. He still is a part of in
Well,
that.
I mean, okay. I mean, hey,
From him, but the Lucases has always embraced me, even to this day.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The family, and
But you know what? I understand why you felt that way because by that time you never knew who your real father was.
otherwise until I was 13, and it was like, oh, he's not a real father, and I'm like, oh, okay, and
Okay,
that's
let me ask you something. So, when you found out who your real father was, how you felt?
oh goodness, I was confused. I was kind of shocked, and it was my grandma who Carrie, who the one who raised me.
Yeah.
She the one that told me because Miss Juanita told her. Juanita,
Wait
remember?
a minute. Wait. What you trying to say? That somebody else told you who your real father was?
No, Miss. Oh goodness, we getting into it. Miss Juanita. Juanita told grandma told Carrie. Miss
I understand that, but I'm saying that
me.
that's how you found out.
I found out, yeah. And Carrie set it up. Miss Carrie set up. I went over to Aunt Bell's house. Aunt Bell and Mildred set it up, and I guess somehow they reached out to Dad. They reached out to Dad, and he
Oh
met.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he
Oh
met
wow, I didn't know that.
Bell's house. Yes, and I remember.
I didn't know that.
Mother, let me tell you something. Before we go any further, I want to tell you that I put him a Father's Day card. I put $1 in it. He still kept it. He still kept
For
it.
real?
Still kept it
Get
years later.
out of here.
That same father, I put a little dollar in the card, Father's Day card. He kept it.
You never told me that. You never told me that.
Yes, he kept that card. Yes, he
Get
did.
out of here.
But yeah, so let me go back. All right. So going back to what? Yeah, because so now you're not sure about the gap in between. So and I was angry at him. I was angry at him because I'm like, well, why you haven't made any effort to try to be a part of my life? I wanted to be a daddy's girl. I wanted to be raised by him. So I was mad. I was angry for a while. And so when we connected again in my early 20s, I was like 19 or 20. We reconnected at the time we moved in together on Andrews.
Andrews.
Yeah, we connected them, and we had to, we kind of build.
Yeah, I remember he bought you that black leather coat.
Yes, yeah, yes. And
I remember that.
I wore that
He
thing.
bought you that black leather coat.
Yes,
And you wore that shit till it fell apart.
yeah, I wore it out.
My God, Nicole. I was like, Nicole, that sucker's raggedy. And you still wore that raggedy coat.
No,
I'm like, Nicole. I mean, that sucker was falling apart. And you still wore that raggedy coat.
falling apart.
Yes, it was.
I took it to the cleaners a
I
few.
mean, it was peeling. It was peeling and everything. And you still wore that goddamn raggedy coat. I'm like, Nicole, that coat is falling apart.
I kept taking it to the cleaners and everything.
And they didn't even take it in the cleaners.
I took it to the cleaners and everything.
The cleaners like, they're gonna throw that shit in the garbage. Throw that goddamn coat. I mean, the coat was peeling. It wasn't even real leather. It was pleather.
No.
Yes, it was. It was pleather.
Oh my God. No.
That coat was peeling and everything, but you still wore it.
Oh God, the shade, whatever. But anyway, let's go back. So I was born, and you raised. Okay, we left off at okay. Let's go from when I was born, living on Townsend Avenue. Everything is everything. So
And then we went to Townsend.
okay, you went to Townsend, right? So now, can you take me to the time that I was born and you raised me, and then you got like your dating life, and then you got married to Willie Lucas. Take me back.
Okay, let me tell you that story, right? Okay. I have no idea. I was 26 years old. You was 5, right? I have no idea why at 27 I wanted to get married, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, long story short, right? One day I said, okay, we was making arrangements, making a wedding and stuff, right? And I said to my mother, I said, Mommy, I don't think I want to get married, right? My mother said, Yvonne, after you made all these arrangements, you can't guess whatever. I said, okay, I got to get married, right? The worst decision of my life.
Tell me
I was divorced 6 months later.
What led to that? How did y'all meet? Like, how did that all come about?
All right. I was young, 26, hanging out in the club, right? So I was dancing and partying, right? So I was dancing with this guy named Will, right? And we was throwing down, whatever, right? So anyway, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's time to go home, right? So as I'm going out, he grabbed my arm and said, give me your phone number, right? So I gave him my phone number, right? Long story short, so then I went on to go on the first date with him. He used to live in Tracy Towers, right? I go over there and visit, and I should have known he wasn't the right person. Because first of all, he was never hardly home and things like that. But I have no idea why I got married. But then I think about it. What it was that I was in love of the idea of being married, but I wasn't in love with the person. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? I had this big wedding, whatever, and all this stuff, whatever. And by the way, I want you to be the flower girl, right? And you said, I ain't gonna be. I said, Nicole, I bought you the pretty dress, whatever. And I said, Nicole said, I ain't gonna do it, right? I said, Nicole, you gotta be the flower girl. And you refuse. I mean, you 5 years old. Here you go. I ain't gonna do it. I'm like, Nicole, what's wrong with you?
Why didn't I? What was my reasoning?
You just said, I don't know. You just said, I don't want to do it. I
Wow.
said, well, excuse me.
Wow. Really? It was
You
like,
was something.
I
You
know.
was something else, Nicole. I swear.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I just said, well, heck with you, right? And I got married, but then 6 months later, it just wasn't the right thing. I just got divorced. Now,
You
going
didn't.
on to the going on to the next chapter. You ready for the next
Okay.
chapter?
Yes.
Okay. Going on to the next chapter. After I got divorced, right? I got divorced, right? And then I was living by myself in a 2-bedroom apartment, right? This was in
Wait a minute.
1980.
You lived in an apartment? I thought you still lived in Townsend. I thought you were still living in
No,
an
no, no, no. When I got married, I moved to Andrews on Fordham Road, Aqueduct Avenue.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, got you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we moved to Aqueduct. Okay.
I
Then
remember.
we moved to Aqueduct, right?
Wait,
I
wait,
was working for the telephone company.
I was in the kitchen. I remember.
Oh, shut up. Okay. Now, what happened? Let me tell you how when you were in the kitchen, right? Long
Yeah.
story short, right?
Hey,
Then
my
I
auntie.
was an innocent person, right? And to this day, I want to say I blame my sister for introducing me to drugs, right? But it was my choice. I can't blame her.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, my sister moved in with me to babysit for you for free while I worked, while she lived with me, right? Here she go. She was always a wild person, a street person, right?
Mm.
She introduced me to the drugs, right? All right. Next thing I know, at first I didn't like the drugs, but then I got into the drugs, right?
What was your
All
drug of
right.
choice?
Huh?
What was your drug of choice? Okay. All right.
Crack.
Oh.
Crack cocaine. Okay, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Okay. Okay, here's my journey, right? I got into the drug, right? Then
Yeah.
I moved away from Andrews Avenue and moved back in to
Aqueduct.
Townsend.
Aqueduct. Mhm.
Yeah, from Aqueduct. I'm sorry, Aqueduct to Townsend, right? Long
Mhm.
story short, I got strung out with the crack after my parents died. Daddy died in '86. I'll never forget. I got the phone call when I was working part
I
time
wouldn't
that
either.
Daddy passed away.
Mhm.
Then after he passed away, right? That was in '86, right? So from '86 to '89, when I passed away, we was all using drugs, right? All
Mhm.
right. So then after mine passed away in '89, March of '89, 2 months later, no, a month later, I went to jail for the first time. And I was devastated, right?
What
All
happened?
right.
What led up to that?
What led up to the jail?
What
All
led up to
right. I call myself selling drugs to support my habit. All right. I call myself selling drugs to support my habit. Okay. So that went on for a while, right? And then after mommy died, that's when I went to jail, right? For 4 months, right? I came out in 90, right?
Okay.
Still doing drugs, right? All right. Then then I went up to upstate Albion. Okay, going to prison for the first time was devastating. I used to look out my cell room, and cry, I want to go home. I want to go home. You know what I'm saying? Being in jail for the first time was devastating, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, here I go. I come back out again, right? Thank God we owned the house that our parents left us, right? So when I came back to jail, my sister Jeanette, God bless her soul, was dying of AIDS, right? Because what happened was my sister, right? She had got, she was like 350 pounds, and she got a bypass, right?
Yes. I'm sorry, mother. I just want to be mindful of the type of words that we use on here. Like instead of saying, just say the three-letter word. Just say three-letter word, not AIDS. Just three-letter word. Because I want to just.
Okay, HIV.
Oh,
That's what you mean?
like, yeah. I just want to make sure that we know.
All right. Okay.
Don't get familiar with the guidelines. Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. My sister, God bless her, she had a bypass surgery and
Yes.
she got tampered,
Oh yeah.
clotted blood.
She was one of the first to do that, right?
Yeah, in the '70s. Matter of fact, okay, briefly, right? Your grandfather, he got kidney failure, and the machine to clean his blood had just been invented a year before he got it. In
I
other
didn't,
words, if he had got it a year before, he would have died.
I didn't know that.
That's right. Your grandfather was the first man to go on the dialysis machine. You know what I'm saying? He was the first one to go on the dialysis machine, right? So anyway, get back to your aunt Jeanette, right? What
Yeah,
happened was when she got that bypass surgery back then in the 70s, for some reason they didn't test blood, right? So they gave her tainted blood.
back in the 80s. Yeah.
No, no, 70s.
It was 70s? I thought it was 80s.
It was the 70s.
It was 80s, mother, because I was around.
You know what, Nicole? You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I'm
Around,
sorry.
yeah.
Early 80s. Yeah, early 80s. You know what? How the hell you be knowing more than me?
Oh, hey. You trust me,
How the hell you be knowing more than me? Anyway, it's my story, okay? All right, now, she got tainted blood, right? Anyway, she got sick, right? So anyway, she passed away, So anyway, she had stopped using drugs. So guess what? When she passed away in August of no July of '93, a month later, because I had already went upstate. I was in jail. Being in jail was the most crazy thing. But guess what? I was on Rikers Island for a year and a half. I worked in a laundry room, making a little couple of dollars. But guess what? For
Wow.
some reason, people used to look out for me. Like you hear them horror stories about being in jail and being raped, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You hear them horror stories. I didn't go through that. I had some people that really your mother got that gift of gab. Your mother got that gift of gab, baby, and everybody liked me. I even had the CEO was bringing me candy and hair relaxer. Baby, please, I had that gift of gab.
Relax.
Now,
Okay.
I went upstate, right? Now, upstate was a different story. Like it was Albion. There's two prisons upstate. There's Bedford Hills and there's Albion. I went upstate to Albion, and my God, the first two times was 4 months and then 8 months. But that 2 years, I had 2 to 4, right? And that 2 years kicked my butt. Oh my God. I used to look, I mean, people don't know how it feels to be free. I remember I used to be on the bus going to my court appearance, and I see the
Wow.
people seeing the people walking around. I'd be like, I'm handcuffed. I'm handcuffed to another inmate next to me, right? And I'm looking out the bus, taken to the court appearance, right? And I'm seeing the people walking around on the street. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could walk around. Anyway, long story short, okay, what happened was okay,
How long were you here?
huh?
How long you were locked up?
Okay, I was in jail for 2 years straight.
Mm.
Imagine waking up every morning being in jail for 2 years. But like the good Lord said, God said, what won't kill you will make you stronger. And that's what it did. I swear, I don't know how I survived being in jail for 2 years. But guess what? I went from coming down on work release, being a prisoner of the state of New York in September of '95, right? Then from '95, when I got released, they sent me to a halfway house, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
from '95, September, December, that's when you came in the picture, and
Pause. Because you
you came in the picture, daughter, and you rescued me.
yeah, but pause.
Okay?
Wait, mother, pause that because there's still some story in between. Because now before that, that's when it went from my grandparents passing away, and you guys, all addicted to substance abuse. But then something happened. My transition happened. Do you remember that lead up as far as my having to leave the home and being in?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I tried to skip over that
I
because
know.
that hurts me to my heart. It hurt me to my heart that when mommy was alive, and going back to '88, right? When I had your brother Justin, right? And then mommy knew she was dying, and she told her best friend Carrie to take you and Justin to keep you from going to foster care. And that was the most beautiful thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I hated myself. And before all this stuff happened, before drugs, I used to love being my daughter, take care of my daughter, and things like. But bottom line is that even though my daughter, I left her, whatever, my daughter always loved me. I mean, I love you so much, Nicole. I mean, you never held anything against me. I be seeing those shows like the Maury Show, whatever. How she be like, you wasn't there, whatever, and this that. We don't have no explanation for what we did. It's what we did. You know what I'm saying? But the beautiful thing, not only you, but your brother embraced me. I was like, you never hated me. You never said like, mommy. You know what I'm saying? Have an angry thing against me, like you left me, you did whatever. You never held that against me. You just, oh God, Nicole, you was always there for me. You never hated me for the fact that I left you and started using drugs. When I got myself together, you just embraced me and just. Anyway, and my son too. My son, I had him in 88, right? The same thing. When he got up in his 20s, right? His father came and got him, and got custody of him, right? Long story short, 20 years later, my son just called me up like it was just and said, you know what? I want to talk to my mother that birthed me, right? And not only did you and your brother embrace me and just didn't care about what happened in the past. You just accepted it and moved on. And that thing touches me so much that my son and my daughter just didn't hate me for the way I, let my life go with drugs. You know what I'm saying?
It was a lot of pain there. I'm not going to lie to you.
I know it was a lot of pain. I know that. But my point is that you still didn't hate me for that. You accepted me. You loved me. You respected me. And you treated me good. And like I said, when I first got out of prison, right, you was the one that got the apartment for us. Remember that?
But you helped me. You helped me get
it. Yeah. Because I came out the halfway. Okay, when I was released from prison, right, in 95.
Yeah.
And then in 95, I remember I came into the college to visit you. Remember I came to the college?
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay. Mm-hmm. So when I came out in September 95, right? By, I guess about November, I came to see you. And then December, you called me and let me know you got that apartment in the castle.
Andrews, in the castle, yeah.
That's right. You got the apartment in the castle. And then that was September when I was a city state. And then 4 months later, I went from being a prisoner to working for the city of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what happened. I'll never forget.
Tell me. Mm-hmm.
When I was working in work release, right? I met this Jewish supervisor. He really liked me, right? So one day, he took me to this executive Christmas party, right? He said, Yvonne, get your resume, right? Bring your resume, right? I said, Alan. I said, okay. So when I walked into the Christmas party, I saw all these white guys with their suits on, executive. I said, Alan, these people ain't gonna pay me no mind. He said, Yvonne, give the man, go over there, give the man your resume, right? I went over there, I was all timid. Meanwhile, I was all timid, and I went to this white man with a nice suit on, right? I said, excuse me, my name is Yvonne Strachan, and here's my resume. I would like to work full time, right? So he said, okay. He took the resume, looked at it, right? Anyway, long story short, when I went back to Alan, he said, how did it go? I said, please, Alan, that white man gonna throw my shit in the garbage, right? Little did I know, the party was from 12 to 2. When I got back to the office, my coworker said, Yvonne, you got a call for personnel. I said, what? He said, yeah, call personnel. So when I called personnel, I said, hello, my name is Yvonne Strachan. I was told you called me, right? They said, yeah, we got a call from the big shot, right? Mm-hmm. They said, the only reason why you got the interview, because we got a call from the big shot. I said, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I got the phone. Alan said, what happened? I said, Alan, oh my God, the big executive got me an interview. He said, see, I told you. Anyway, long story short, okay, now check this out, right? So anyway, when I got the interview, here she goes, interviewer, right? She reminded me, because said, Yvonne, the only reason why you got this interview because we got it from the head department, right? I said, oh, wow, right? So anyway, so I had to fill out application, right? So on the application, it says, have you ever been arrested? So I said, no. And then the lady got up to make copies of my documents, right? So
Mm-hmm.
while I'm sitting there, the Lord was speaking to me. He said, Yvonne, don't lie. Change it, right? So I took the white out and I changed it to yes, I was arrested, right? And then once I did that, I said, shoot, they ain't going to hire me, right? I left, right? A week later, I got a call to come in for another interview. I said, oh my God. So I went into other interview, right? He said, yeah, we saw that you wrote that you have a felony, right? They said, just write what happened, why you was arrested, and why you went to jail. All right? Nicole, I don't know what I wrote, but I know I let my heart out. But whatever I wrote, next thing I know, I got a job.
Yeah.
I went from being a prisoner of the city to an employee. And not only that, okay, then I got the job, right? I started January 20th. Oh, I think the day your son was born.
Really?
Wait a minute. No. January 6th, 1996. All right.
Yeah.
I was on what they call per diem. Per diem means that they can fire you anytime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I worked 4 years, right? So check it out. I went from being a prisoner in 1995 to being an employee in 1996. 4 years later, I bought a $13,000 co-op. And 3 years later, I graduated from college. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes.
From 1996 to 2003, I bought a $13,000 co-op. And then one day, oh my God, in 2000, it was my co-worker's bright idea. I said, Yvonne, what do you do when you go home from work? I said, nothing. Why? I said, come on, let's go back to college. By this time, I was 42 years old.
Wow.
So I said, okay, check it out. Not only it was her bright idea to go to college, she dropped out after the first semester.
Wow.
I went on, okay, now check it out. I already had a good job. I didn't need the diploma, whatever, but I did it for myself. Not only did I graduate with a 3.2 GPA, I was up there, oh my God, I graduated with a 3.2
It was a
GPA.
moment. That was proud. I was so proud.
That was God. That was God.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I graduated with a 3.2 GPA, but you know what? I would have had more, but what happened was that biology was kicking my butt. I had two classes of biology.
Mm-hmm.
Biology is, all the things okay, check it out. I was failing. Every time we took a test, I would get a 60, whatever, right? Anyway, it was my last semester. And I told my professor, I said, listen, not only has my financial aid ran out, but I don't want to have to come back with just one class
Right.
before I graduate. Okay, so I said, what can I do? Can I do some, extra credit, whatever? He said, okay, fine. I'll give you a D. I said, that's all right. That's passing. Even with that D, I still got a 3.2 GPA, baby.
All right now.
So that's my journey. I went from a crackhead to a college graduate. Hello?
Let me ask you this. Now, because we not everybody, they talk about your journey as far as getting through addiction. So what about your journey through sobriety? What has that like?
You know what? Check this out. It's so funny.
Is that moving somewhere?
Everybody think that I needed to go to rehab. Okay, when I was in upstate in jail, they put me in rehab.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Okay,
yeah, but no. No. It wasn't really rehab. It was like a mandatory class you had to take for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came, and that's how I got down to work release to lead to the private, to lead to moving with you. All right. So after I was on parole, right? And they sent me to the class, whatever, right? But end of the day, I did it on my own. I did it on my own.
Yeah, like how did that? I mean, how was
Once I moved in with you on Andrews Avenue, I stopped using drugs and stopped. I just stopped it. You gave me that strength.
me?
Little do so you didn't know about that.
No.
You didn't know you gave me the strength. When I came to see you at college, right? That was November. And December, when I gave you the money to get the apartment, whatever, you was the one that gave me the strength to stay clean.
Oh gosh. Wow.
You was the one.
Wow.
When you got me that apartment, Nicole, you, unbeknownst to you, I got clean because of you. You gave me that strength.
Mm.
I got clean because of you.
They said,
Because of the faith you had in me, because of the love you had in me, because of the no judgment, because you didn't beat me up. I became strong because of you. When I was in that,
oh, oh
you
God.
gave me the bedroom. You gave me the bedroom. Okay, when you the one that got the apartment, I could have stayed in the living room, but you said no, mommy. You have the bedroom.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a given.
You gave me the bedroom.
Yeah.
You're saying yeah like it's nothing. See, that's my point, and how much you forgave me. Because anybody else, as a drug addict, mother, whatever, they would have put a roof over their head. But they said, but you always treated me with respect.
I remember, I just feel some kind of way sometimes because I remember when we used to live together and you put up with a lot from me. I was so young and
damn right.
I was so young and, being on my own, like us being women, and it was just.
But you know what? You ain't give me a hard time. You never gave me a hard time.
Well, there were times where, just bringing, people over, like playing cards.
I didn't think about that.
You know?
I only thought about you when I was married briefly to that Rob, right? About your cousin used to do the nasty in the bathroom.
Like who?
Your cousin used to do the nasty in the bathroom.
Wait, which who? Who?
Your cousin used to do the nasty in the bathroom.
I'm trying to remember. Oh.
Hope. Hope and your boyfriend used to do the nasty in the bathroom.
Hopey,
Hopey used to do the nasty in the bathroom. I used to get up in the morning. I get up to go to work in the morning. Her and her boyfriend there doing the nasty. Get out my bathroom. What y'all doing the nasty in my bathroom?
Hopey,
don't be doing the nasty in my bathroom. Get the hell out.
Hopey, this is the words that are the allegations of my mother is not necessarily coming from me. Faith is a substance that the words that are being used.
What the hell are you? Hey, put that shit down. What you talking about? What you said?
I said, Hopey, the words that are being used towards you by my mother is not necessarily connected to faith as a substance. Okay.
Wait, check it out. Hey, people, do you have any idea what she just said?
No.
Hey, people, what the hell did she say?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just want to give
what you saying? We want to know what you're saying. What did you say?
I want to give a clear message to Hope that Hope that this is not faith as a substance. The words and allegations from my mother is directly from her and not from faith as a substance.
Well, why you gotta say all that? She see me talking to you. You ain't got nothing to do with it.
Oh my God.
You was too busy with one of your friends.
Don't start with me. I didn't have friends. I didn't have that many friends. Don't.
Hey, you can't blame it on the alcohol. It was Hopi and her friend doing the nasty in the bathroom when I'm trying to get ready to go to work.
Enough of that nasty talk. Enough of that nasty.
All right, now check it out. Okay. I done told my history. I told about how I bought a $30,000 co-op. How I got a college graduate, 3.2 GPA. Now moving on. Now I'm I'm going to New Orleans with my daughter for her birthday. Me and my daughter. Hey, check it out, people. Okay. Close your ears, Nicole. Okay, I'm talking to the audience. Listen, audience. I told my daughter that. Okay, at first I thought it was just going to be me and her, right? So once I thought about it, I said, you know what? I spoke too soon. I ain't gonna have no fun with my daughter, me and her in New Orleans. It's like girls' trip. You gotta go with a bunch of friends, right? But thank God her brother's gone and her cousin gone. So check this out. I'm gonna party by myself. I don't need, you know what? Guess what, audience? My daughter, if I have showing a little bit of cleavage, there she go, mommy, mommy, mommy. Or if I'm partying, saying, hey, tear the roof off, mommy, sit down. I don't want to hear that. I want to be able to show my cleavage and party till I drop. And I don't need my daughter. So when we get to New Orleans, she can hang out with her brother and her cousin. And I'm going to do my own thing with my people.
Nobody's stunting you. Nobody's stunting you, mother. Ain't nobody stunting you.
Excuse me? Oh, wait till the comments. Wait till the comments.
Right.
Hey, I'm gonna blow up. Hey, people, I'm the mommy.
Sobriety. Like, you still ain't tell me about. You still ain't give me much about what your sobriety has been like. Like, do you struggle with your sobriety sometimes?
No. I've been clean for 31 years. 31 years. I drink a little white wine, but that's about it.
That's about it. When was the last time you've been to an NA meeting? When's the last time you've been to?
I didn't go to that goddamn meeting for what?
I was just asking.
I just already told you that I never had to go to a meeting. I just cleaned up myself.
I thought you been to a few, like you and uncle and auntie you used to go to meetings.
No, I never told you that, sucker.
I thought you did.
I used to go once I got clean and my brother and sister was still, I got clean like 10 years before my brother and sister. I used to support my brother.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I support John.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I would go to all his meetings, whatever. But part two of this interview, I'm going to tell you about my journey with my sister and my brother.
Okay, yes.
Because I'm tired of talking. Hey, people, good night. Until next time. Love you. Bye.
All right, mother. It's been nice. I'm going to do my outro, but thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate that. I was looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye. Yep. There you have it. That's the queen, my mother, Yvonne Strachan. You see her journey, her testimony, and I told you she's a whole vibe. And that was her being her true, authentic self. She wasn't doing that for the clicks and views or for the camera. That is her true, authentic self. Just very outspoken, outgoing, and everyone has been drawn to her, since I can remember. So I really hope that you received a lot of what she said about her journey, about her sobriety, and just everything that she has gone through and accomplished in spite of all of the circumstances surrounding her, and how she was able to achieve so much. You would think that my mom was making $100,000 a year, and she retired as an entry-level city employee, and she has been able to, live happily as a retired person, and we still go at it. As you can see, that's just, we were just being our true authentic selves, and that's how our dynamic is, it's just all natural. So I hope that you enjoy this. I hope that you receive it. This was a very transparent, in-depth conversation, and I do appreciate her sharing all that with her. There's still a few things I didn't even know or wasn't aware of that I was able to get from her. So yes, please watch this. I'm glad that I was able to get my bra back on and come back on here, and I got in 2 great conversations in one night. That's a blessing for me, from two of the most important people in my life. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So please, again, like, comment, share, subscribe to this platform. This is just the beginning of it. You ain't seen nothing yet. So I'm about to sign off once again, and